You are listening to Visionaries Wrestling Network, providing your perfect podcast experience.
M is for Mason.
G is for Graham.
B for Betcha.
This is the MGB Wrestling Podcast, the podcast with PG-rated material accessible to wrestling fans of all ages. Hi, my name is Mason, and here's proof that wrestling fans still live with their parents, my co-host, my dad, Graham.
Alright, it's Friday, March 15th. This is B2 Applause. This was the tryout show from last weekend. Lots happened since we recorded B3. I just told Mason about basically what's happened, the fact that there was reports that certain wrestlers weren't getting paid, certain people have backed out of upcoming events, and actually today Nova Pro announced that the event on the, I think it's the 30th of March will actually be their last event. The WrestleMania event's been transferred to somebody else. We get our money back for the Commonwealth Cup, and all the other planned events, the Rumble and the event in DC, will be no more. I've been asked a lot the last couple of days what my thoughts were, and I didn't really know much at the time. All I could say was, we've been treated really well while we've been there. Anything you want to add, Mason? Obviously, you only found this out about half an hour ago.
I never saw a problem, but, we don't get to see behind the scenes, so, I can't, say anything, that I saw anything, but,
No. And that's what I said as well. We obviously watch the wrestling. We don't see all the things that go into putting the show together, like who gets paid and that. Obviously, certain people came back, which I don't think they would do that if they didn't get paid. I'm assuming it's not everybody. I'm assuming it's just certain people. Obviously, that's really bad. And, the only thing I do know is I'm going to miss it.
Yeah.
I know that for sure. I'm going to miss the wrestlers. I'm going to miss the people we sat around. And I'm going to miss once a month knowing that that's something we can actually go to. Jackson is going to go to the last one, as it's his last chance to see Nova Pro, I guess. He just jumped for joy when I told him he could see safety first. He was really excited by that. So,
we're going to have to find a new event to podcast, and
I was trying to work out how many episodes we'd already done on Nova Pro. There was at least 12 events last year, and I think some of them were over several days, so we might have had 15 different events, possibly. This will be our third one for this year. We recorded Z1, we recorded Z2, which we're going to release pretty soon as well. So, yeah, we've recorded at least 20 events in just over a year, so it's been a big part of MGB, that's for sure. But, yeah, we'll certainly get to see some of those wrestlers again in some of the other local organisations, but, yeah, it'll certainly be very different. It's been really hard these last 2 days trying to wrap my head around it, and in some ways I'm kind of glad that we've had that announcement what is going to happen, because there was a lot of uncertainty, and at least now we know that's happening, we can sort of move on from that, and I'm certainly looking forward for that event on the 30th. That did not look like that was likely either. It looked like it would have just been, that's it, we're done. You're not going to see anything anymore. So I'm glad we do still have that one last event. Alright, this was at the Annandale Volunteer Fire Department. We said it was March 9th. Doors opened at 3, and it started at 3:30. We got there kind of early. We got there 2:30. I knew there wasn't going to be a rush to find seats particularly, but we knew from the last one, if you get there early, you can reserve your seats for the second show. So we put ourselves where we normally do, front centre. And, what did you see through the window while we were waiting to get in?
Josh doing push-ups and jumping jacks, trying to get me in the door, but it was locked.
Yeah, he was there beckoning to you. He's like, come on, have a fight. And of course, it was locked, so you couldn't get in. Anything else?
Somebody opened the door, and then the thing, the door,
stopper came down.
it came down, and so the door was open, and so I could have we could see in.
Could just go in, yeah.
The glass is weird, you can't see it. It's a lot darker, so you could look through. You could look through the open part and see it perfectly fine.
Yeah, so you could see what was going on in the ring a little bit better. And once we got in, there was nobody was out really selling merch. No pre-show because it didn't make sense to do that. And we just sat around. I think mainly we just talked about, are you going to the next event? Are you going to the WrestleMania one? And so on. And then we got started. And, well, actually, before that time, you got bugged by Josh a second time, a third time, a fourth time.
He kept flicking me in the face.
Because I kept posting on Twitter. I was like, we've only been here 5 minutes and Josh Fall's already bugged you. And then I updated it and it was like twice. And then I was talking to, I think it was Jay Lee. And then I went to turn back and you were like, yeah, he just bugged me again or he just flicked me or something. I thought that was kind of funny. So Josh comes out and he announces he's going to be the ring announcer and the commentator because we weren't sure who was going to do that. He introduced Ref Andy and he mentioned his creepy mustache, which I thought was pretty funny. Okay, match 1 was Mack Buckler versus, I think it's Dezmon King, I think is how you pronounce it. He's a recent Crab Wrestling graduate. And I did find out online, we know Mack Buckler because he's been there certainly before from Crab Wrestling. And Dezmon, it says, was a United States Marine. So you know that he's certainly tough. Okay.
Oh. You went to the bathroom and I think I know who he is now.
I didn't go to the bathroom.
No, during Crab Wrestling.
Oh.
You went to the bathroom and then I saw this Marine Corps guy and I think that's him.
Oh, okay. It could be. Yeah, Jackson needed to go to the restroom. So yeah,
I really liked him.
That could have been it. Well, that was him.
Okay.
I'm assuming that's him. Yeah, I didn't really remember him. His name sounded familiar, but I didn't recognize him.
Yeah. So Mack Buckler was announced totally not as Josh's partner. Dezmon talks trash and then hides behind the ropes.
He put his head through the ring at the start, and the ref's like, come on in. He's like, I'll come in when I want to. And I think, actually, I'm not sure if it's this same moment, but I have the fans count instead of Andy, because it's supposed to be like, you got 5 seconds to come in, like 1, 2. And actually, the fans started counting, because they wanted him to come back into the ring. But he played a good heel role. I thought it was good.
And there was a huge clothesline.
Mm-hmm.
You can go.
This is all you, buddy. I told you. I'm doing intros on this, and you got the match. I told you, you're doing the match. You're the...
I don't have the ending.
I don't either. I got Mack Buckler wins.
I remember that I think Dezmon got slammed or something like that.
No, I didn't write that down. I told you that was on you for this one. I'm not doing that side anymore. Your podcast, you've been doing this for a year now. This is all on you to provide the commentary for that side of it. No, it was surprising because we're used to Mack Buckler normally losing or certainly not winning clean. But
yeah.
He came through on this one.
And he was actually the face.
Yeah, pretty much. Alright, let's get to match 2 then. Some more people from Crab Wrestling. Mikey Banker versus John Washington. Now, Capital Vices, which is Jason, I think it's just Sin, I think we normally know him as, and Money Green defeated Ethan Cross and John Washington in 58 seconds at Hoppy Place.
Yeah, I remember.
So I knew I'd seen him before, but I couldn't remember where. And I saw Maddie mention something about, and I said, why did it feel like I saw you get beat recently? And she couldn't remember. So there you go, Maddie. That was the reason why.
Yeah, I remember that. That was cool, and fans were shouting that it was John Washington's grandpa.
Well, you said at the start, it was like, did you just say that was George Washington? I didn't write that down, but I forgot that. I was like, no, it's not George Washington.
I thought you said something like that, but I know it wasn't John Washington.
Well, the person who was there was.
But
it was.
You said George.
It was John Washington. Now, I remember that match specifically because it was where there was no protection on the floor. I think he got slammed onto the ground where there was nothing there. And somebody actually came to him and like, you okay? But the match was over so quick, but it was right near where we were sat, the one at Hoppy Place. I certainly remember that. Mm-hmm. I have something right at the start, if I can.
Go ahead.
So they asked, the referee asked, like always, and he's like, are you ready, John? He's like, ready. He's like, are you ready, Mikey? Always ready. I liked it. Mikey's always ready. He's not just ready. I thought that was cool. Okay.
So John Washington said, screw you to Mikey, and then he said something about dare you to say that or something. I remember Mikey dared him to do something.
He's challenged people before. That certainly sounds possible.
And then there was an AA. So Mikey Banker wins with an AA.
Okay.
That's all he had.
All right, fair enough.
I really like John Washington because he's very vocal.
Yeah, no, I agree. I thought John Washington
heel.
was good as well. Now, I did have a couple of things. I saw John's shirt had 1-800-2-LEGIT on it. I was paying attention to little details like that. And at the end of the match as well, Josh came on and was going, it's like, one more time for creepy moustache. He wouldn't let that go. He just kept going with that. Just like he kept bugging you, he just kept going with this one.
Yeah.
Alright, match 3. This is the most difficult name to pronounce. Juan Francisco de Coronado versus Isaiah Frazier.
Um,
Now, Nova Pro tweeted, actually, the early candidate for top standout from the tryout show is going to be Juan Francisco de Coronado. And he'll go one-on-one with Isaiah Frazier. So he was obviously kind of a big name. I didn't know much about him, so I did look this one up on Twitter. On his Twitter bio, it says, the smug Ecuadorian aristocrat, or aristocrat, however you want to say that, official trainer for Chikara Pro.
oh.
So that's obviously kind of high up there as well. Now, I was kind of a bit confused with this at this point. We knew we'd seen Mikey before on the main roster and Mack Buckler, but they don't play as big roles. Isaiah Frazier, I thought he was already on the main roster.
Yeah, he is.
So it was kind of confusing. So I don't remember that many people from last year's roster appearing on the tryout show, if any at all.
Yeah.
So this was kind of confusing, and we just wondered, do they just have less people? So you got to get somebody to match up against. So anyway,
The guy...
Juan.
Yeah, Juan, he comes out and his avocado flag is bent.
Avocado?
What? Yeah.
You mean Ecuador?
Yeah, Ecuador.
That's staying in.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
I'm not sure if the background music was the Ecuadorian national anthem, because I have no idea what that was, but it could be. It took
was like-
forever.
I know, and it was bent, and he's like, he makes sure nobody touches his robe.
Now, I thought that might have been, though, because somebody had hit him over the head with it before. Like, we've seen flag matches before, and sometimes they'll use it as a weapon. So I just wondered if that was the reason for that, and I'm honestly not sure about that.
And I remember Juan, he count. He is on the outside, and then Andy counts in Spanish.
He does, yeah. He was going, uno, dos.
But
And then
yeah,
the fans kind of got into that as
he
well.
can still speak English.
Uh-huh.
Like he said, like
He did at the end. He said a few words, yeah.
yeah.
But I kind of liked he did that, though, as well.
Mm-hmm. People in Ecuador really speak Spanish?
As far as I know.
Oh,
I'm not 100% sure.
that would be
but
funny if they didn't.
That would be funny. I have no idea.
Okay.
Yes, people from Ecuador do speak Spanish. We took a quick look up just to make sure.
Okay. And Isaiah Frazier does a pile driver, and then Juan just starts screaming like a little girl.
I got the girliest scream ever, which might be a little sexist, but I think it gives you an idea of it was very high pitched. Let's put it that way. I got one thing before that actually. One attempted a drop kick, and it was absolutely swatted away by Isaiah. He just got his hands and knocked his feet straight away from him.
Mm-hmm. That's all I have.
I got Isaiah kicked out at 2 on one of his one's attempted pins. He actually landed on Andy. Andy was in the wars a little bit with this one. The match was so quick, he just had to keep moving out of the way really quick. There was some finger manipulation from Juan, which I turned away. I don't like that stuff at all. The actual thing with the fingers, and I'm assuming Isaiah Frazier won. He didn't say anything about that. At the end, I think somebody said he said something like, I broke my hand, or somebody in the audience repeated something that he
Juan
said.
bit his fingers.
Oh.
And then so he started high-fiving people with his elbow.
He did. As he was leaving, he put his elbow out, and that's what I had for the last bit for this. Now, Mike Quackenbush is going to lead another masterclass weekend at the Wrestle Factory on May 4th. That's somebody else who Juan works for as well. On May 4th and 5th, join him and Rory Gulak. That's Drew Gulak's brother, I believe. And Solo Darling. And Juan Francisco de Coronado. So that's some big names who he's with there.
Yeah.
And we actually saw one before, I think. We didn't realise it, though. National Pro Wrestling Day, February 10th, Chikara. He actually fought against Missile_Assault. We actually watched most of that event, so it's possible we actually saw him before, but
I don't remember
we probably just
that.
don't recognise it as well. But yeah, we watched certainly some of those matches, because we were going to go at one point, and then we just never quite got around to doing that.
I'm surprised that Rory Gulak doesn't get trained by Drew Gulak, or does he?
I think he's good enough for wrestling in his own right, from what I've heard.
Oh.
I've never seen him wrestle personally, but I've heard his name mentioned a lot.
Oh. So he's not like Drew started wrestling first and then...
That I don't know. I don't know who was the older one or anything like that. Alright, match 4. Avery Rose versus Mikayla Matrix. Now, Mikayla, Jaylee told us, was actually a referee at Crab Wrestling, and I didn't notice that at all. If she hadn't mentioned that, I wouldn't have got that. The announcer did say it was her second ever match. Now, I think at this point it was Jordan Blade who came on.
Yeah.
I think she was doing the announcing, because the guys had to go to Crab Wrestling. The guys from Crab Wrestling had to go to MCW for the evening, because there was no evening matches at Nova, because it was the all-women's event. Now, I did see Mikayla actually tweet as well. I'm behind on NJPW, New Japan Pro Wrestling. I'm behind on schoolwork. I'm just behind on life. She's only 18.
Oh.
I didn't realise she was that young, so she's obviously still going to school. Now, school could mean college. But yeah, trying to balance all those things together, I thought that was kind of asking, that's a lot. All right.
So Mikayla, she gets on her knees and then into an arm bar.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, it looked painful. Like, her arm was bent back so far.
Yeah.
And I have the ending.
Alright, this is where we embarrass Zach. So I think it might have been that one when it was that submission move, and she was right onto the far right-hand side of the ring.
Oh, yeah.
And Zach's like, reach out to your left. Now, admittedly, there was a rope there, but it was absolutely miles away. He got his left and his right mixed up, and I said I was going to embarrass him about that, so we threw that one in. Now, I wrote Space Jam again. I can't remember why, though. I remember I was just dying with laughing. You gave me a perfect setup line, and I was like, I wonder if she likes Space Jam.
Oh.
Did she do a face jam?
No.
I don't remember.
Did you? You have to tweet Eric Royal. Is he at the next event?
I don't know. He's supposed to be, because he's supposed to be fighting Savage Gentleman. We got to ask him. It's our last opportunity to ask him. Matt wanted to ask him, but he's not going to get a chance. Yeah, I think we're going to have to ask him. We might have to ask him ahead of time. I'd like to record it, actually.
Uh-oh.
But I don't remember why I said it this time. Oh, hold on. I said here, I wrote underneath. I know you said something, which made me say, I wonder if Mikayla likes Space Jam. I don't remember what it was. I know I was laughing too much. Alright, anyway, I was very impressed with the ability of Mikayla. On her pinned post on Twitter, you can actually see her wrestling when she's probably a couple of years younger or something. My goodness, some of those moves are really impressive. But it just shows you how long you have to train for. This is only her second match. She'd been training for at least a couple of years just to get to this point, and she looked really good even 2 years ago. She would be somebody I'd really like to see again. She definitely looked like she had potential, even though Avery Rose won, and you're going to probably tell us how.
Samoan drop.
Samoan drop, alright. And she actually tweeted out after the match, second match ever, I could not ask for a better opponent than at the Avery_Rose. Thank you. Hope to do it again with you soon. Much love. Well, that was pretty cool. In contrast to Avery Rose on Twitter at 7 a.m. on Sunday morning. So this is the next morning. In my wrestling experience, I can honestly say I would much rather share a locker room with a bunch of guys than girls. You girls are ruthless. We should be building each other up instead of tearing each other down. Whoa. I wonder what that was all about.
I hope that's
now,
character.
I know she
I'm
fought,
guessing that's character.
I know that she fought in the evening as well, because she got invited back. But that makes me wonder. Everything that we saw when her training in the ring, everyone seemed to be very civil and that, but that makes me wonder what that Nova Pro locker room is really like. I've never heard anyone say anything like that before.
I'm sorry she's just being in character, I think.
I don't know. I thought that was a really strange tweet. But the contrast between the two. Mikayla was really positive to her opponent, and then she was really negative to the rest of the girls on the lot. Yeah, I'm kind of curious. I would love to have known a little bit more about that.
Is that kayfabe or not?
Don't know. Could be. Oh, that's certainly been around recently. Alright, match 5, triple threat. Grimy Scots versus the War Boys, and that's as far as we thought it was. And then, I'm not sure of the third group, I just got Captain Crunch.
Yeah,
I know you know who that is. Now, I had my Scottish flag again, like I did at Flying V, and I waved that as the guys came over, and they did acknowledge us for having that. And you thought the War Boys originally were from that EWA.
You just said war somebody, and I said war pigs, and you said yes.
Oh, okay. So we didn't know that group then, did we?
Random thought. I was watching this video on TNA that it was Lockdown, and I saw Nick Aldis on it.
That's very random. Okay.
He was
just random wrestling thought.
He was part of the British invasion.
All right, can I throw a random one in then as well? That's kind of related to that.
Go ahead.
Somebody was just commenting about you had to come. It was Omega Luke. You had to put together a team of 4 wrestlers to make a faction. One in their teens, one in their 20s, one in their 30s, and one in their 40s. Now, teens is really difficult. I picked Millie McKenzie, which I don't think is a bad pick anyway. And somebody else picked, I think his name is Ray Knight Jr., and I was like, oh, I just saw him at Wrestle Pro.
Yeah,
and he said, WrestleGate Pro. And I said, oh. And he said, oh yeah, he had a really good match against Nick Aldis. I was like, what? I was like, I need to see that. For the NWA title.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, the guy who was the first ever match at WrestleGate Pro has fought Nick Aldis for the NWA title. I did not know that.
My teen I can think off the top of my head would be MJF.
He's not a teen. He's 22. He's very young, though.
Oh. That's
the rest
hard.
of my team was... it also had to be for different companies as well.
Ooh.
Now, I thought you said different countries to begin with, and I wasted 30 minutes coming up with a total mess. I had Sasha Banks as well. I was trying to pick 2 females and 2 males. For my 30-year-old, I picked Kenny Omega. And for my 40-year-old, I picked The Rock, because he's actually unsigned right now. I know he does a little bit for WWE, so they're all for different... Millie McKenzie fights for several different people, but I picked NXT UK, and Kenny Omega's obviously AEW.
I don't know the ages of wrestlers. What
I had to look some of them
Velveteen
up.
Dream?
Oh, let me tell you. Guess how old Shayna Baszler is?
24.
Now, I'd heard somebody say that she was a lot older than you'd realise, and I was like, oh, because I was like the same as you. I thought she was like 24, 25. 38.
Ooh.
I was like, are you kidding me? Late 30s. I was absolutely shocked by that. I swore that she was younger than Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey's like 31, 32. I had no idea that she was 38. Tells you how long it tells you to make it through the ranks, though. I was absolutely shocked by that.
Yeah, no, UFC.
Yes, she was, yeah.
How old is Velveteen Dream?
Velveteen Dream's 20s, 23. He'd be a good pick. I looked at MGF as well when I was thinking about it.
That's not a teen, is it? Or?
No, teenager, 18, 17, 16, 15.
If Josh Fuller was nice, I would pick him.
I thought about Josh Fuller as well, because he could play a good character as well, but I was like, they're not going to know who that is, so I stayed away from that. But also, I'm going to pick Billy McKenzie over Josh Fuller.
I know who my 30s would be, Roman Reigns.
That's a good one. There's plenty for the 30s, and 40s there's some good people there as well, like Chris Jericho, somebody picked as well, John Cena, AJ Styles.
Yeah.
There's some perfectly good picks there.
Mick Foley?
I went for if he could wrestle. That's why I picked The Rock as a total outside pick. I didn't think it's actually a competition, and they're going to rank the entrants that they get. And I was like, that's why I'm picking The Rock, because it was a little bit out there.
Oh, I want to do it.
If he came
Did
back,
they already pick them?
I don't know. I can look it up. You can think of one afterwards. Hey, shall we get this podcast recorded?
Okay.
All right, at the start of the match, the Grimy Scots actually got down off the ring apron claiming they came to the volunteer fire department to volunteer as firefighters. And then they just sat on the side of watching the match. And one of the teams called out and was like, that's illegal. I think it was Captain Crunch. And they were like, oh, it is? And then they just got back on the side of the ring ready for the start of the match.
So the Grimy Scots didn't really want to fight, and then they come in, and then it's the Captain Crunch people versus the Grimy Scots, and everyone's on the outside. They superplex the Grimy Scots, and then they do a people's elbow.
The thing that I got for most of this match was I just got the silly points. Captain Crunch had a soft toy, much like the GOAT last year from Bobby Orlando. So they had the Captain Crunch soft toy. You could just do an elbow on it. Like, remember Benjamin Banks did that in the second match when they came back? But he went to the top rope and did a superplex with that soft toy.
Oh.
I was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that was Hamish. I thought that was hilarious. And they started putting moves on it, and then Captain Crunch got all fired up and started beating down the Grimy Scots.
Another thing was Teddy Hart from MLW brings out his cat to the ring.
That was really weird. That was
and he
very strange.
puts him on the top turnbuckle.
That was
but
really
for
strange.
Solo Donnelly, she just walks off the Sir Magnum out.
Well, I'm sure that's what you're supposed to do. That's the thing.
Exactly.
All right. Well, you don't seem to have anything for this match, so I'm going to do one more thing. After the match, Grizzly took the soft toy and rubbed it inside his kilt, which I thought was really funny as well. I didn't even say who won, but I think I know.
Yeah. So both Grimy Scots and the Captain Crunch people are like down on the floor, and then the War Boys do crossbody and pin all four.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I totally forgot about that part. Well, that's because I wasn't writing it down. Now, I looked up the War Boys because that was why I was thinking it. Was it those people we'd seen before? And when I Googled it, you actually came up with Porkchop Johnson, who we're going to talk about a little bit later anyway. So if you Google War Boys, and wrestling probably, you can actually see them in action if you'd like. Alright, match 6. Kevin Skiffington versus John Kermon. Now, Kevin's actually commentated on Nova Pro before. Maddie told us that. And,
about commentating, Frank was commentating.
You said that? Yeah, I didn't notice that because I was watching the matches, but you noticed that.
Yeah.
When you turned around. Alright, what do you got?
Terminator dives and Kevin hits him with a pillow.
Alright, well I got something way before. You missed out so much stuff there. Alright, let me do the first part. First of all, when both competitors got into the ring, they were just about to start fighting, and Mack Buckler's music started playing for a few seconds, and then everyone started turning around. Turning around to see what it was.
Hashtag Mason's right.
Mason was right. You knew what it was. We didn't know what the music was, but actually,
Jay
Lee said it was Mack Buckler as well because she knew. I noticed John has a Team 3-4 tattoo, and you thought that was his record in wrestling.
No, not.
That's what you said.
I meant in
3 wins and 4 losses.
No, not in that wrestling. I feel it was like the
Mixed martial arts.
Yeah, like
so
that.
So when he has his next match, he just crosses out the 3 and puts a 4 or something?
No, like he was in a team run, like it might have been like the Olympics or something like that for like his league, and then
that's not what you said. You said that was his record.
No, I think it is like his record for something for like
So you think he's retired now from that, even though he still does that?
No.
So why did he get a tattoo then? How come he didn't have a tattoo that said, 1-0?
It was like the finals of his last event.
So he retired from that event then?
No. The final.
Alright. Kevin's on the outside after getting some brutal kicks, and he stuffed some padding up his shirt, which he found. Well, you said it was a pillow. It was a pillow that he found under the ring before going back, and then he asked John to kick him, and he does, but he didn't kick him where the stuffing was. It was hilarious.
Let me help you. So, there's 7 games in the NBA finals, right?
Yes.
So it was 3 and 4, so that's basically what it is, I think.
Alright, okay. Alright, if that's right, I'm going to eat my shirt, just like Matt said he would do as well.
Which one?
I don't know. I'll find one.
Yay!
I'll eat my Nova Pro jersey.
Yay!
Alright, do you want to talk about your part now? Why the pillow? Because the pillow was just so random in your first comment. Okay, so Kermon goes to the top rope, Kermon gets a pillow out and hits him with it. Alright, anything else?
And then he stuffs it in his shirt, and then do what he says, and then I have the ending.
Go ahead, I had the ending as well. Go ahead.
I'll roll up.
Roll up because he celebrated too. Skiffington was celebrating too much, like yay, I got him with the pillow, whatever. And then Kevin just rolled him up. Kevin on Twitter said, "A lot of fun getting back into the ring for @VA Wrestling's #applause. Celebrating the return with some rattlesnake burritos from Taco Bell. Sounds pretty good. I think that would be pretty good as well.
Yeah.
I think I have. Oh, I put the same quote down twice for some reason. John Kermon also said, "I love doing comedy matches, so while my match yesterday was short, it was also a lot of fun. Reminded me of my favourite comedy matches I've had against Horror Show, whom a lot of you all will know. There's a video on YouTube from VCW in about 2010. So I said we were going to get around to watching it. We've just been busy this week, but that's definitely on our list of things to go and check out. I'd like to see an early Kerminator match, and I'd like to also see... I like comedy matches as well, so I'd like to see that one as well. Alright, match 7 is David Ali, Anthony Atom, the Chesapeake Crippler, who is Chris Kushner, and Mr. Grimm.
No.
Oh, let me stop. Okay, so a few things about these people. David Ali, gonna do everything I can for the love of my life. #beep the past. #love wrestling. #wrestling life. I followed David Ali. I'd forgotten about that, because he's based in Atlanta. I follow a few different wrestlers, and sometimes when I find someone who's interesting, I'll follow them. And I'd forgotten about that, to be honest. Also, he put, "If you're not going to speak up, how is the world going to know you exist?" And that really fitted in with his character, actually, once we saw him. Now, the Chesapeake Crippler. Did you recognise Chris Kushner?
Mm-mm.
He was in the opening match at EWA. Remember the Inside Out Royal Rumble or whatever it was called? He was in that first match. And I also realised at this point, I've been saying EAW for so long, and it's actually... And I made fun of you for saying AEW. It's EWA. So I was making fun of you the whole time. I have a horrible feeling that whole episode that we recorded, we said the wrong thing. I'm sure that we said EAW. And it was EAW the whole time.
It was EWA the whole time.
Yes, that's why I couldn't find it on Twitter. I kept typing in the wrong initials.
How did you...
Anyway.
All I remember is Hospital Dude.
Mr. Grimm, wrestling's hitman for hire, it says. Insane Labs ambassador, arrive, kick tail. He didn't put tail, though. Body bag you and carry you away. #body bags for everyone. #no one is safe. Now, wasn't Mr. Grimm the person who bought his money in a bank case?
Yeah.
Or something that looked like
it
that?
It had like a...
So his gimmick is actually a body bag, and I saw one of his matches on YouTube, and he actually has a body bag, and he puts the person inside it, and then does like an elbow drop on and stuff. So we actually missed out on something. I think that would have been kind of cool to watch. He was one of the people we actually said we wanted to see back again. I know Grimy Scots were too.
I put Grimy Scots, John Washington, Mr. Grimm.
You also said Mikayla as well.
Mikayla.
Because I said that was a good call, because I'd forgotten her, actually.
And I had 5.
Well, once we get to the other ones, you might recognise which names as well. Alright, what do you got for this match? I got the ending.
Anthony Adams...
Anthony Atom?
No. So, David Ali is not Ivan Ali, but, we were talking about Ivan Ali,
yes.
And then it's not. He didn't just change his name, so it's
no.
So Anthony Adam run into David and Mr. Grimm, and I have C3. He throws his shirt, and then Anthony Adams he gets on the top the the apron where it is and just tosses it somewhere.
Uh-huh.
And then Maddie tells a woman to stuff it in her bag. And then after the match, the person goes looking for it.
He did. And at that time, the lady just went to the restroom as well. So I don't know who it was, the other woman who was sat with her, and she had to get it out of the bag and give it. He actually talked about it on Twitter. He was okay with it. He was actually a really good sport about it. I actually followed Chris Kushner after this. I thought that was really funny.
He knows
they did
about
that.
it?
He knew about it. Do you have anything else?
Ollie does a scuba dive, then Mr. Grimm does a double wins.
A double? What does that mean? He does a double wins? He got 2 wins?
It does like my pen keeps like cutting in and out. It looks like DOULE, but there's a space, so I think I meant to write a letter, but the pen just goes.
So it's like a crossword puzzle.
Yeah.
Luckily, I know exactly what you're talking about, so I'm going to fill in the gaps for you.
Okay.
But I got a few things first. Adam started off really high speed. I haven't seen that speed since Gunnar Miller. Like, he used to run really hard into people, and I was like, man, this is a tryout show. I was like, he's not taking it easy at all. Now, we should fill in as well, since we saw this. Maddie saw him on a podcast in Tennessee, and he was reviewing the Royal Rumble. I did not recognize him. He looked so different. I don't think I've showed you that clip yet. There was also a monkey flip to Mr. Grimm, who landed it. We actually saw this match on when we were looking through the window, because they even when they were warming up, they were still doing the full moves. They weren't even like, oh, look, I'll do this to you, like I'll do a superplex. They would literally do like a superplex. They were crazy as far as I was concerned. Mr. Grimm's strength was amazing. He threw Ali around like he was a ragdoll. So he just like, whoop, just ridiculous. There was a suicide dive, which you mentioned. Mr. Grimm did a flip over the top rope. That's the thing I think you were trying to point. I got holy cow right here. Like, I thought he was going to do a suicide dive as well. He flipped over the top rope. Man, is he athletic. Really impressive, and I think that's why we recommended him. The match actually ended. I think somebody got pinned, but they carried on. The ref didn't call for the end of the match. Maddie called for the end of the match. Maddie was like, you going to ring the bell? And then finally they actually rang the bell, so it's kind of weird. David Ali was the one who won, but we didn't get to find out what was in the box.
Yeah.
Which we were kind of disappointed about.
I saw his kids carrying it later.
Oh, okay. So, I do have that stuff that you said. David Ali threw the shirt of the Chesapeake Kryptonite, went to the lady's feet, and you got all that. But Maddie said put it away, and she did. Anyway, so I have all that. Now, Mr. Grimm had, on his pinned tweet, he says, have you ever seen a guy in a body bag get hit with a 450? Well, now you have. That's the line for that video that I saw. I really want to see that as well.
I remember the other person, Anthony Adams.
Which other guy?
The other guy that I wanted to come back.
Anthony Atom?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was the other person?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I follow him as well, or I did at one point.
You
I think
you act like
we
you
were
actually
supposed to we were supposed to go see him on your birthday at one point, but then I couldn't remember his name and I couldn't find where he was wrestling. And I know they had an event on your birthday, but anyway, never mind. All right, match 8. James Effin Harris, and it was Effin, versus Sweatboy Christopher James. Now, all I have is for this one is Chesapeake came back for his shirt, which we already talked about. Now, I heard someone say as James Harris came in, he had his mask on, but he took it off, and you saw him through the windows, like, oh, he took his mask off. Uh-huh. And he sat down in the ring, and somebody made a reference to Kamala, and I did not understand that reference at all. Have you heard of Kamala?
I've heard of Kamala Harris.
Well, okay. Well, Kamala's real name was James Harris, and he was in the WWF in the early 90s.
Oh.
So I'm not quite sure what the deal is there. I'm not sure why he picked the same name, but they certainly weren't related or anything. I thought that was really strange, actually, when I looked that up later. Now, Christopher James, I couldn't find much on at all. I couldn't find him on Twitter, but I did find him on Facebook, and he mainly wrestles for Lucky Pro Wrestling, which is in Massachusetts, and I saw him cutting a promo, for the tryout show, like, in his hotel room just before he got to the thing.
All I have is Christopher James wins.
Brilliant. All right, match 9, Porkchop Johnson versus Eel O'Neill. Now, I was sure I'd seen Porkchop Johnson somewhere else. I couldn't find anything really for him. It was really difficult. I actually couldn't remember his last name either. I actually had to ask Benjamin Banks. I was like, do you recognise that name? And he provided me a link for that one. Now, Eel O'Neill. Do you remember Eel O'Neill, Mason? We'd seen Eel O'Neill as well. I had to once I sort of recognize the name. Once I pulled up the details, it came through. It was the second match. Dragonfly and Siler defeated Apollo Crews and Eel O'Neill at EWA Wrestling. Remember, it was the one where they
Apollo Crews. Oh, not that
Not
one.
that Apollo
Okay,
Crews. We
all
said
right.
that when we reviewed that show as well. Remember that team that looked really good, but they kept arguing with each other,
Yeah.
and then they lost? That was Eel O'Neill.
Oh.
So we had seen Eel O'Neill before. So he's actually going to be at that Sweet 16 tag tournament as well.
Oh.
So we might get to see Eel O'Neill again pretty soon.
Embarrassing moment for you. You cut yourself with a notebook.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
I have no idea what you're talking
You
about.
said, ouch, I cut myself with the notebook. And I wrote it
the
down.
metal thing on the spirals. It came loose from the top and it stuck into my hand. Yeah, that was an embarrassing moment. Alright, you have anything for this match, seeing as you're doing that part?
You cut yourself with the notebook.
From the guy who didn't have anything for the last match and he's supposed to be writing down all the stuff. And I covered you on another
Eel-
match as well, because you didn't have
Eel-
anything.
Eel misses tape and Mayday.
Mrs. Tate.
I don't
what
know.
does that mean?
It says something with Mayday.
Okay, I remember what happened here, so I can get you, and I've got this right down here. Eel O'Neill broke the tape, and the crowd immediately started going, "That's not safe." He came out and tried to tie it, and couldn't even tie it. And Mayday rescued him. He came out and he managed to tie it back together, so we were perfectly safe again. So I have that part there. All right. What else?
Porkchop dives and wins.
Brilliant.
How is that funny?
Brilliant. So the last two matches, you have one thing. Okay, that's great. Now, I got confused with this because I wrote down to begin with pound cake, and then I looked at his leg and it said pork chop. So I crossed it out and put pork chop. And then when he rolled over, I saw on his other leg he had pound cake again. So he had pound cake on one leg and pork chop on the other, which I don't know why. To me, that was really confusing. Anyway, I do have a quote. This is from Eel O'Neill. I guess his real name is Tim. At VA Wrestling, this was an amazing learning experience. Thank you guys for tryout day. So it's interesting. Of the quotes we've seen, two have been really positive, and there was that one that was really negative, which made that negative one stick out. Even if it was a bad experience, wouldn't you just say thank you and over for the experience? If you're trying to get booked by people?
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seemed really weird
It's
to
like
me.
a new Austin Aries.
Yeah, I don't know. Alright, match 10. This was the main event. And this was kind of weird as well. Last year we had like 15 events. It went on for a long time. This one finished really short. It was only about 2 hours, which left us about 2 hours in between the events as well. This was Hype Rockwell versus Logan. Against Blank.
Yeah.
Now, Hype was actually the Chikara champion for 300 days. Obviously, with him being a main event, I didn't know who he was,
his name was
so I had
Rockwell.
to look him up. I'm sorry?
I thought his name was Rockwell.
It is.
Oh, okay.
Chikara champ. Chikara is the name of the organisation. His last name isn't Chikara.
No, I know that. But I have down on my paper
Hype Rockwell.
Okay.
His name was Hype Rockwell.
Okay.
Okay, Jason, he came out and started introducing Blank, and he talked about Hype. He's not quite good enough, he's not artistic enough, but he could be if he came and joined him, kind of thing. Then Logan came out. Alright, what you got, mister?
I thought you said he's not autistic enough.
Not autistic.
Artistic. I know. Blank smacks everyone on the head, but then I duck forward so he doesn't hit me.
Is that when he walked around the back?
Yeah.
I think Maddie said he got her in the glasses, because he said he needs to clean his hands or something. She got like a fingerprint on her glasses. I got hit on the back of the head. I don't know if he realised it was her and deliberately hit her on the front of the face or
So
something.
he was like walking by, smacking her on his back of the head, and then I just ducked my head forward, and then he didn't get me.
Now, I've also got Blank does a You Can't See Me, and then an STF on Hype in a match. Hype should have got a 3, but Jason Heat actually pulled a ref out at a count of 2. And I've also got somebody in the audience shouting out. Blank actually went and sat down in a section just to the side of the ring, and someone shouts out, "That's the wrong section." He was pretty close to the 1%, but everyone was in on the joke. Everyone knew it was Logan.
Yeah.
And then he started to talk as well.
Yeah.
He did do the little clap thing again, which we liked, where you just keep the palms together.
Hornswoggle does that.
And you do the fingers, but it was kind of funny as well. Anything else?
Logan locked somebody in STF.
I already did that.
Okay.
That's good. Good concentration, though, bud.
Blank does thumb eyes. Oh, he does a thumb to eyes.
A thumb to the eyes,
But still kicks. Rockwell still kicks out, and Rockwell wins with slam surf off or something.
I don't know. I don't know what that is. Any ideas?
Slam SURTOF.
No idea what that is at all.
I write so
I didn't
fast
even
because I
write.
have to.
This was the last match. You knew this was the last match, so you didn't have anything to write after that. So you could have taken as long as you want to write that statement down. I didn't even have the winner for this one, so I'm perfectly okay with that. Now, did you realise Hype actually wrestled as C.A. Elliott in a PCW Tag Team Champion for nearly 6 months last year?
I don't even know what PCW is.
It's another wrestling organisation. And his tag team partner was?
Blank.
Logan Easton LaRoe. So they obviously knew each other really well, which is why obviously they could have that type of match there. They obviously had that chemistry. I'm not sure what PCW stands for, but I didn't know as much about Hype Rockwell, which is why I looked him up. But I thought that was funny that was his tag team partner. So they obviously know each other really well.
PCW? Is that Primal Conflict Wrestling?
Might be. Oh, is that the one that's in West Virginia?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even think about that. Oh, so if we go up to that one, then we might get to see him up there as well. Now, I did wonder though. There was only 10 matches, and we said there was 15 last year. Is it tougher to break into Nova Pro? Now, kind of academic with the news that we've just heard now. But when you can get like Joey Ryan, Swoggle, Kimberly, Anthony Green, Oliva Bates, there's been a lot of people. Now, I'm sure IWTV has helped to get better people there as well, because you know you're going to be on TV. I wonder if that was the reason there was less people. I honestly don't know the answer. But there was something I wondered. If you look at the quality of the roster now, compared to what it was a year ago, it's a lot stronger. Mm-hmm. Each time we're more and more impressed because we get bigger people come through. Like, we had MGF come through 6 months ago.
Yeah, we had never mind, that's somewhere else. We had Mia Yim, we had Isla Dawn, we had, whatchamacallit, Deanna Peraza.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's big names.
Not Millie McKenzie.
Oh, I wish. That would have been great.
Shazza McKenzie
as well.
Oh, yeah, she's not coming back.
She's not, no. She was supposed to be at the WrestleMania event as well. And she was supposed to be in the...
Oh, you don't get to see Paige's mom.
And we didn't... I know. There's a lot of people. There was also the Moth Sessions person as well.
Session Moth, yeah.
Session Moth that we saw who was really good. Yeah. Don't know. Hopefully they might get invited to the GCW event, but at this point we really don't know. Game-changing wrestling, I think it's called. They're the ones who are now going to run that session. So we'll just have to see. Yeah. And as one of the other things that we talked about at the end, or as you mentioned straight away, it was like, what a waste of time if you turned up for that tryout event. So even if you made it, doesn't mean anything. There's no event now.
I felt bad if you traveled like 5 hours for that.
It's still an experience. You can still get people to see that, and they can still be impressed. But it's tough. And
apparently some people just get paid a can of Coke.
Where did you hear that?
BWP.
Oh, okay. Some people, when it's beginning with, if they're training, sometimes actually it's kind of like what comedians do to begin with. They actually have to sell tickets before they're allowed to appear on stage. So they're almost having to get family and friends to pay to come and see them so they can go on stage. So they almost have to pay just to be on stage to begin with. And it's kind of like that with wrestlers to begin with. Until you got experience, how are you going to get experience? So sometimes they'll wrestle for free, wrestling. And then they'll wrestle for free. They didn't take any money at their last event, so you don't always get. So sometimes it's you have to wrestle for that experience. And Ethan Page talked about that. He wrestled for free at early times in his career, but you don't want to do it later in your career because otherwise, why would any promoter pay for somebody when you can get somebody for free? So once you've learnt your trade, you got to make sure you get paid. But yeah, it's a tough one. Any last thoughts?
Not really.
Okay. What I would say is we did this out of sequence, so if you haven't listened to our episode from 2 weeks ago now, or it is if you're listening to this as on the day it comes out, go check it out, B3, Calling All Girls, and that was the evening event that followed this tryout session.
It's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him.
Goodbye.
The music was Zigzag by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0, http://creativecommons.org/licenses/by/3.0.